We're all in the same boat, fishing in the same hole, wondering where the same time goes. We're all in the same boat. Oh, we could all believe what we believe. Peacefully agree to disagree. But you can't judge a man until you walk a country mile in his shoes. Do 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 do. We're all in the same boat, fishing in the same hole, wondering where the same time goes. Money too, trying to fix the same broke hearts, wishing on the same stars. We're all open home floats. We're all in the same boat. We've all been kicked and knocked around, but you ain't gonna keep a good man down. You can't run like hell from your mistakes, but you can't hide from your truth. Do 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 do. We're all in the same boat, fishing in the same hole, wondering where the same time goes. Money too, trying to fix the same broke cars, wishing on the same stars. We're all open old floats. We're all in the same boat. If you're holding, take those shots. Keep reloading, you can't be nice. Don't say nothing at all. So help somebody who might be struggling. Spread a little love, gotta give back something. Ship keeps rocking, won't go overboard. We're all in the same boat, fishing in the same hole. Since this time goes, we're on to trying to fix the same broke hearts, wishing on the same stars. We're all open old floats. We're all in the same boat. We're all open old floats. We're all in the same boat.
We're all in the same boat, unless, of course, you do not live in the Northwest Ohio or Southeast Michigan area. If you live somewhere warm, you are in a very different boat. Well, hi, welcome to Cedar Creek Church. My name is Luke Shortridge. I'm the Executive Director of Campuses here at Cedar Creek, and I want to say welcome, especially if you are new. If you're checking us out for the first, second, third time, I want to say a very special welcome to you. Please let us know who you are. We think the church is better when you know other people and you are known. You can let us know that you are new at cedarcreek.tv/connect. We would love to send you an email, maybe answer any questions that you have about the church, and just make you feel welcome. Speaking of feeling welcome, I want to give some shout outs here to some people who are on the chat with us today. Angela asked if we are live. Angela, we sure are. Thanks for joining us today. We have Pat from Sylvania, Amy from Findlay, Jer from South Toledo, Jen from West Toledo, Marine from Toledo, and then we have a few people who we are all highly jealous of. We have Eddie from Beaumont, Texas. We have Luz from Honduras. We have Jennifer from Port Richey, Florida. We hope you're enjoying the sunshine. It's about 10 degrees right here where we are at, and there's 1.5 feet of snow on the ground. But anyway, this weekend we are continuing with our series At Your Best. We've started off 2022 talking about how to be at our best. Ben Snyder, our lead pastor, is going to be speaking to us in just a few moments today. But first, we're going to take some time. We are going to sing and do some worship together. We believe that the best way for you to utilize this time and space is to try to find a distraction-free environment as best as possible. Also, try not to multitask during this time. Focus on the words. Focus on what it is that is being said. If If you're by yourself, feel free, sing out loud. Who cares? Nobody's around. Also, if you're with a group of people, sing out loud anyway. Who cares? It doesn't matter what you sound like. This is really about your time connecting with God and connecting your heart and mind to the words that are being spoken. It's also baptism weekend. The first weekend of the month, we do baptisms. So these are people coming forward with their faith. And if you're interested in finding out more about what is baptism, or maybe even being baptized at an upcoming service, you can go to cedarcreek.tv/baptism for information about baptism. All right, with no further ado, we're going to join our Perrysburg campus live, and let's sing together.
Darkness falls, it won't prevail. 'Cause the God I serve knows only how to triumph. My God will never fail. No, my God will never fail. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. There's power in the mighty name of Jesus. Every war he wages, he will win. I'm not backing down from any giant, 'cause I know how this story ends. Oh yes, I know how this story ends. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see a victory. I'm gonna see a victory. For the battle belongs to you, Lord. Let's sing this out together. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. Yes, you do. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good.
as we sing, I want you to remember what Jesus accomplished on the cross, that victory that we just sang about, and what that means for us today. No matter what situation you find yourself in the middle of, God is still present, God is still at work. I want you to just remember that as we sing together. I can't go back to the beginning. I can't control what tomorrow will bring. But I know here in the middle is the place where you promised to be. I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? And as I walk now through the valley, let your love rise above every fear. And like the sun shaping the shadow, in my weakness your glory appears. I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? All I want is all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here God, I pray that you would just open our eyes, open our hearts, our minds to your presence in our lives. Whatever it is that you're doing, we want to be aware. Not for a minute was I forsaken. The Lord is in His place. The Lord is in His place. Come, Holy Spirit, try bones awaken. The Lord is in His place. The Lord is in His place.
That song is a powerful reminder that God is with us and will meet us wherever we're at, whatever we are going through. If you're celebrating, feeling good, He's right there with you. He's smiling right at your side. But that's not always the case. Sometimes we're not celebrating. And I've been there. I've been there lately where I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm feeling like it's problem after problem, and that makes them seem so big, and it's one thing after another. So I know that it's easy to lose sight of that fact that He is with us. He is leading us through those fires. So I want to take a moment. This next song we're introducing this weekend, and it talks about the goodness of God. And so I don't know where you're at, but I want to invite you to listen to those words, to reflect on them, and as you catch on, sing them along. Because when we do that, we are reminded that our God is bigger than our problems. He is faithful, and He will always be faithful. So I want to invite you to surrender, to trust Him as we sing this out. Mercy never fails me, and all my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. The goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire and the darkest night. You were close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. I have lived in the goodness of God.
Would you pray with me? Father, we thank you for your goodness. We thank you for your mercies. God, we praise you and we know just how much you love us. We thank you especially for your son, Jesus. It is so rich to be in his love. We love you, Lord. We thank you. We praise you. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Well, thank you for singing. You sounded wonderful. That's right. I heard each and every one of you. You sounded fantastic. So thanks for going for it. We are celebrating. Congratulations to those who took the next step of baptism. We love to go crazy and throw a little bit of a party every time people step forward and declare their faith publicly. So praise God for that. You know, sometimes we need to be reminded of God's goodness. Sometimes we have things in our lives that we need to work through. And a relationship with God is super important with that, but we also grow by being with other people in community. And one of the primary ways we do that at Cedar Creek is through groups. We just kicked off our winter group semester. We have a ton of groups that are available. And I led a group this past fall. I led a group of our pastors through the ordination process. And there was a gentleman in the group by the name of Steve Sawyer. You might recognize that name because we've been telling Steve's story over the past few weeks in this series. But Steve came to me after one of our groups and he said, Luke, I'm feeling a little bit convicted. I've never taken the next step of baptism. And we talked about what that means, why we are baptized, when to be baptized, all that good stuff. And over the course of a few weeks, Steve decided that yes, he did want to get baptized. I am happy to report that in January, we baptized Steve at our Findlay campus, and we're still celebrating him. You're going to hear from Steve a little bit later in the service, but it was group life and talking together as a group that really helped him be led to that decision, to that place. So groups are super important. If you've been in groups before and it just didn't work out for whatever reason, don't give up. Sometimes finding the right group is like trying on shoes. You might have to find 2 or 3 pairs at the store before you find the one that is that right, perfect fit. I do want to point out some of our online groups that are starting. If you go to the group directory, cedarcreek.tv/groups, you'll see a little button there that says join a group. Click that. Doesn't mean you're locked in, just means you're in the process of browsing and looking at what groups we have. You're going to want to select all the campuses, select all the days as well, and then a little bit down below, you'll see it ask, does this group meet online? You're going to want to click yes, then hit search. It's going to pop up all of our online groups. There's about 25. And I want to offer a couple that I think stand out. One is Journey Through the Book of Luke, which happens Sundays at 7 p.m. That'll be happening later today. Bible Art Journaling is happening Mondays at 6:30 p.m. The Bible Project, How to Read the Bible, is happening Friday mornings at 9 o'clock. And I'm doing a John Maxwell leadership discussion group on Thursdays at 9 o'clock at night. So there's a ton of online groups, plenty of opportunities. We would love for you to check out what groups we have and perhaps join in a group this semester. So at this time, we are going to join Ben Snyder, our lead pastor, as we finish out our series, At Your Best. Enjoy.
All right, so I need your help. Next week is Preach Off. If you've never been to a Preach Off, just come. You're not going to know what to expect. You're not going to expect what you're about to experience. But a little taste of what happens is we, a team of us, have to talk about a verse that we haven't prepared for, like impromptu on the stage. And as a part of that, some random words are put on the stage. So I need a little warm up. I need a couple of words to try to fit into this week's talk. Okay? What didgeridoo? I don't even know how to use that. Didgeridoo. That's bingo? Flamingo. Okay. I'm done. Okay, you guys, I quit. Didgeridoo. It's an instrument? And how does the instrument go? I know those of you watching at the campuses, you might not have been able to hear that, but it was special, okay? It was fantastic. If you were to guess the most dangerous animal in the world, I want you to think about it. What would you guess, okay? You are ready to talk. The flamingo. I was going to get there. Don't take my word away from me just yet. Okay, I want you to tell the person next to you. If you're online, you can post online. But, I love it. West Toledo right now is interacting with me. It's awesome. But whatever the most dangerous animal in the world is, I want you to talk about it. We're going to see if you're right, okay? We're going to see if you're right. Did a little research this week, and there's differing numbers out there. It's hard to get this down. But they rated danger in terms of, like, how many human fatalities these animals cause or create. So, according to World Atlas, flamingos did not make the list, okay? But lions, about 100 people per year. How many of you said lions? Anybody say lion? Okay, that's right. Did any of you say sharks? Sharks is the most dangerous animal. I see a couple hands. That would, not even close. Okay, no offense. You matter too. But 10 or less per year. In fact, if you were to take sharks, wolves, lions, hippos, elephants, and crocodiles and put them all together, the total would be 1,720, okay? That's right. Sharks, wolves, lions, hippos, elephants, and crocodiles. Those are big animals. How many of you picked one of those animals, right? Yeah, many of you, right? It's interesting. Now, the next one, you're not going to believe me. We take a big jump up. The next most dangerous animal is dogs, okay? 25,000. And we're the cat lovers. I thought the cat lovers would be like, see, we knew it. Cats are better, right? I was waiting for that. The next one up, I'm guessing you guessed, some of you. Snakes, 50,000. Where are my snake haters at? Okay, snake haters, a few of you. Okay, that's good. All right. The next one after this is kind of sad. It's humans, which is embarrassing. And at the same time, it's like, we're dangerous. It's like, this is scary. But that's not the most dangerous animal. The most dangerous animal belongs to mosquitoes. Mosquitoes. I heard a yes. Who said it? Over here. Mosquitoes. That's right. A couple hands. These are the smart people you need to sit around. You're ready to go. I love this. Oh, over here. Another hand. I love it. We have some smart people here. Now, here's what's interesting. Some of you were arguing with me. I get it. You're like, no, it's not the mosquito that kills you. It's the disease that they carry. Okay. But the truth is, they're more than just annoying. They're actually deadly for a large part of the world. And the problem is, they're small. I mean, they seem helpless and pointless, but they are powerful. I want you to think about that for a minute. What is small and powerful? Not just in animals. I asked a few of our team members, like, what's small and powerful? Here are some of the things that they told me. A writing pen. Small, but think about the changes or the impact that a writing pen can have personally, but also globally. Think about the microchip that's inside of a lot of our technological devices, how small they're getting and incredibly powerful. What an SD card used to be, or if you remember the good old floppy disks, to what they are today. It's amazing. You know what else is strong and powerful? A pebble in your shoe, okay? Nothing can ruin a walk faster than like, and then have you ever done this? You tried to pull it out and nothing fell out and you put it back on and it seems to be fine. Or like a little wood grain in your sock, it's terrible. Or the hangnail as you're trying to put on your winter coat, like your whole body is screaming at you over that thing. Small but powerful. A virus is small but powerful. A ghost pepper, oh, come on. I just had a little sliver, but I thought I was gonna die for like 15 minutes. Small but powerful. You know what else is small and powerful? A popcorn kernel, because man, they're tasty, sure, but it's impossible to get out from in between your teeth. It's powerful. The Lucas County Sheriff's Department social media page this past week, come on, if you know, you know. They made a small change there, but it was powerful. We were paying attention. It was good. It's good. And here's what's interesting. If I were to ask you what's big and powerful, you'd have a list. But when it comes to small and powerful, it's just a little more difficult because our tendency is to allow this fallacy to shape our beliefs about life, about ourselves, that size equals significance. Now, I know There are a few raised eyebrows in the room. No, I am not going to try to settle your love life debate, okay? We're going to test the maturity of the room here. But when it comes to our life, when it comes to the purchases that we make, when it comes to the way that we view other people, the way that we view ourselves, well, think about it. Like your dream house, what? It has more rooms. Well, like more is better. It's more significant. I mean, when it comes to a didgeridoo, you want more quality sound, and if it's quiet, if it's less, if it's not right, it's worse. That kind of works. Okay, I'll take that. Here's another one. Your car, like the dream car, has more horsepower, or if you have like 4 kids like me, you need more seats and space between the kids, right? That TV that you want for the Super Bowl, it has more inches, or what are they up to? 8K in definition. I don't even know what that means. Pretty soon you're going to be in virtual reality sitting on the field getting tackled. It'll be great, right? On social media, you want more followers or more likes. You want more money in your bank account. And so if this is true for us, if the bigger or the more something is, the more significant it is for us, then that must be how God defines significance. We just assume. It's almost spiritually subconscious to the way that we think about God and how God views us. And so I want to think about the question, what is significant to God? Significance is like something that's worthy of your attention. So what gets God's attention? What does he notice? Because it's easy to believe that he only notices impressive things, big things, bold acts of faith, huge impact. And if what you have is small, average, then God's like, well, that's kind of cheap. Insignificant. See, we tend to think that the more we do for God, the more attention that he gives us. It's sometimes why people ask pastors to pray, because they don't think their prayers get God's attention. But for some reason, because he's a pastor, their pastor, she's a pastor, their prayers get access to God, right? And in January, over the past couple of weeks, for those of you that are new or maybe first-time guests, we've been stepping towards our best. We've been reflecting on this passage, and hopefully some of you have it memorized by now, that blessed are those who trust in the Lord and have made the Lord their hope and confidence. Trust isn't the same thing as obedience. Trust leads to obedience, but trust is about your heart, and you're at your best when you trust God first. So we've been like wrestling with what does that actually or practically look like in your life. Let me define it this way. Trust means wherever you are today, whether you've attended church your whole life or this is the first time you've been to church in your life or in a long time, trusting God means wherever you are today, you're stepping towards knowing God more today. Trust looks like, okay, how do I not just know about God, but know him in my life? How are you paying attention? Trust looks like paying attention to where God wants you to find freedom from some of the hurts or frustrations or habits that have you stuck. Trust looks like discovering that you're not an accident, that you have a purpose given to you by God. And trust looks like using that purpose to make a difference, an eternal difference in the people's lives that he put around you. That's what trust in the spiritual journey looks like. And when you do this, when you take those simple steps of trust from wherever you are today, you will be like a tree planted along a riverbank with roots that reach deep into the water. Such trees are not bothered by the heat or worried by long months of drought. Their leaves stay green and they never stop producing fruit. This is a vision of what your life looks like when you trust God. And what I love about this vision is we're not meant to only consume. It doesn't say, and they never stop consuming fruit, as delicious as fruit is. It's that we are to produce fruit. So if your mindset when you come to church is, church is about what I'm going to get out of it, that's not godly. That's, you could say that's American. That's a consumer approach to faith. When you approach God and you're like, what are you going to give me? That's not trusting God. It's making yourself the main character of the story. No, church is a movement of people. It's a family. It's a movement of people that you belong to. And do you get things out of it? Sure, but it's a give and receive. The goal is to be productive. It's to contribute, not just consume. And here's the problem. When we hear this, when we hear productive or contribute, the temptation is to fall back into that fallacy and believe that God only cares about how much you produce. And so again, we look at our life, or we compare our life with the people around us, and we conclude, not very significant. Some of you are there right now. And maybe you've been on the journey for the last few weeks. It's like, okay, I'm going to pay attention to the environment, where I'm planted, what I've surrounded myself with. I got that. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. You talked about roots that reach, like replenish the whole me. And so, yes, you're thinking about your purpose. And maybe you went to Growth Track this weekend, or you're planning to go to Growth Track and discover. It's like you got that. But then you look around at everybody else. You hear their stories. Or maybe you look in the mirror and waves of insignificance start washing over you. Or maybe it's like you're trying, but you're struggling, and you're just not making much progress, and it's like, I should be further along than I am right now, and so you're disappointed with yourself, and you assume that God is disappointed with you also, and you wonder, is all of this worth it? Or am I just going to screw up all over again? And this is where the drift starts to take place, because you know what, it's easier to just disconnect and not really, it's not worth it, I'm not that significant, I don't have much to offer anyway. So you miss out on God's best for you. If that's you, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're watching online or on TV, that you're going on the journey with us. You're not alone. So I want to welcome all of our campuses, those of you watching online, the men at Toledo Correctional. I just got a text from somebody on Instagram that we're being shown at a local gym on one of the TVs. So for those of you physically, we just put your hands together to welcome those who are watching, to say hello, that we love them. I think that's awesome. I have a simple story that I want us to look at. It's a powerful story, and the bottom line of the story is this: offer what you have instead of waiting for what you lack. If you take nothing else away from it, take this away. God invites you to offer what you have instead of waiting to find what you lack. And too often, we don't offer because we look at what we have and we're embarrassed, or we feel like we should offer more. And if that's you, stop and come back to the bottom line. This is what God says: offer what you have. Trust Him with what you have. There's no magic line that you cross where God's like, enough. There's no line that you cross where God's like, whoa, that's impressive. Why? Because He's God. It would be like me trying to impress LeBron James on the basketball court, okay? That would be on Comedy Central, not ESPN, highlight top 10 plays, unless it was a joke play, right? It's like God isn't looking to be impressed. It's not the size that defines significance to Him. Now, there may be another group of you here, and maybe it looks a little different. Sometimes we convince ourselves that we've done enough. Like, we go to church, we pray, we're a relatively good person. It's like we're trying to do life right. We've done it just enough to break a spiritual sweat. And so it's like, whew, okay, good, got that done. He should be happy with that. I mean, look around at what everybody else is doing. I'm better than most. And so we don't offer God what we have. We offer God just enough to not feel guilty, just enough to cover the bases, just enough to check it off the list, and you miss God's best for you. And so the story that we're going to look at, maybe you heard in Sunday school, usually it's shared to help kids who feel like they don't have much of anything to offer God, but it's really intended for adults. It's captured in a couple of the accounts of Jesus' life. I think in Matthew, and we're going to look at Luke. You can turn there in a Bible app if you want. If not, I've got the words right here on the screen. It says that Jesus was in the temple. He watched the rich people dropping their gifts into the collection box. And so just for context, this is in Jerusalem, not in the town where Jesus grew up in Nazareth or Capernaum up in the Sea of Galilee. It's in the heart of the Jewish faith, the temple. It's where the Dome of the Rock is today. This is a replica available at a museum in Jerusalem today. This would be the temple. This is where the Dome of the Rock is in modern-day Israel. And this is where only the priests could go. Interesting side note, not even Jesus could go into the temple. He wasn't a priest, which I think is fascinating. The Son of God. In some ways, I can get closer to the temple than Jesus could today because of how the Dome of the Rock is situated. Men could enter the court here, and this is the women's court where all of the Jews could enter, and everything outside are the temple courts where the Gentiles, the non-Jew, that's as close as the non-Jewish people could get to the presence of God. Okay, so this just sets the context, because inside of the women's court were 13 different offering boxes 7 of them were labeled for designated gifts. They had a purpose. The last 6 were like free will, voluntary, non-mandatory offering boxes where you could give over and above. And so when it says Jesus was in the temple, you can go to the next slide. And when Jesus was in the temple, he watched the rich people dropping their gifts into the collection box. People are giving their offering. And this isn't a replica, but it's an example, right? So imagine Jesus standing there, like checking it out. That'd be a little intimidating, right? You know, it's just a little side note, Jesus is always watching, and anyway. But in this moment, there's this unique or peculiar feeling where, you know, he's watching this take place. And what is he watching? People would walk up, and I don't know if they would have a bag, but, you know, they'd take a bag, and I imagine there was a noise, right? Especially when you were a rich person dropping in a bag, and it becomes kind of like a spiritual talent show, right? Where people come up and walk up, and it's like, oh, wow, that was big. Man, they gave a big offering. That was huge. In some ways, it's like the louder it was, the more God had blessed me, and so look at me, or look at what I'm contributing to the work of God. I'm somebody significant, and so this talent show was going. And while Jesus was there, it says a poor widow came by and dropped in 2 small coins. The term for these coins are a mite, a Roman mite. If you go to Israel today, or pretty much anywhere that was Roman occupied at some point, you know, we get excited about wheat pennies. They get excited about Roman coins. You can buy these at antique shops. This is a Roman mite that I was able to get in Israel. This is a denarius, okay? This is a day's wage, and a Roman mite was worth about 1/32 of a day's wage. It was the equivalent of like a penny, this is a modern, obviously, penny here, so this gives you just an idea. In fact, for those of you here at the Perrysburg campus, if you want to see them, I'll have them with me in the lobby after the service. But this just gives you a visual. Think about it. The woman, imagine being this woman in the middle of this moment. People are coming in and dropping they're walking by and they're dropping their bags of offerings in here. And this woman, she has 2 coins and she's standing in line or watching all of this take place. Imagine the moment when you hear all of these people and Jesus is watching. She comes up and she's like, I'm guessing somebody like gave one of those awkward laughs like, oh, that's it. Or maybe it just got really quiet. This is how some of you feel. Or it's what you're afraid of. Everywhere you look around you, you see all of these people doing big things for God, and then you look at what you have in your hand. It just seems insignificant. And so what do? You walk away from moments to offer God what you have because it doesn't seem like very much, and so you don't. And then you miss. You miss the opportunity. What is it that you need to hear from God to take your next step of faith? To offer God what you have. Too often, we just get stuck with that, well, it's not much. I'm not qualified. I don't know that it's really that significant. I don't know that it'll make that big of a difference. Others of you, you're not holding on to like the not enough. You're taking pride in whatever it is that you're contributing. And you're like, it's impressive. It's a significant amount. Look at me, right? And here's what I love about the story. Jesus stops everyone and he says, I tell you the truth. Like, hey, listen, don't miss this. This poor widow is given more than all of the rest of them. Now, it would have been awkward with Jesus calling this out, I'm sure. Like, hey, everybody, I don't want you to miss this. But then what he says next would have made it, if the 2 cents was awkward and Jesus interrupted, what he says next, this widow is given more than everybody else. It would have been an awkward moment. I imagine people would have laughed like that uncomfortable laugh, like, what's he talking about? Some people would have been offended. They would have been thinking, wait, they're replaying it? That was 2 mites, right? 2 cents. It would be like me saying, the best place to get lunch today is Long John Silver's, okay? Best lunch in Toledo. You'd be like, really? I mean, if you like Long John Silver's, great. If you don't know what Long John Silver's is, I think there's only 1 or 2 of them left. If you're the owner of a Long John Silver's, I apologize, okay? I apologize. But it illustrates my point, because the big givers would have been offended. They would have been like, what? Why isn't he talking about me? And the widow, I imagine, she's embarrassed. Jesus uses this moment to clarify what significance to God really looks like. Look at what he says. He says, they have given a tiny part of their surplus, but she, as poor as she is, has given everything she has. Hey, she offered God what she had instead of waiting for what she lacked. Instead of paying for first everything she lacked and then offering the leftovers to God. What this woman did was significant. And if we're going to follow in the footsteps of the widow, if we are going to live a life that's at our best, there are some things in this story that I think can help us get there. And the first thing is we need to change how we define significant. We've been talking about this. She was poor. It would have been tempting, with all that was going on in the temple, for her to look at the 2 pennies and go, this is insignificant, to walk away. But she gave anyway. She gave what felt like, I'm not even sure if this is going to make a difference. She gave it anyway. And too often we look at what's in our hands and it just doesn't seem like it's going to make that big of a difference. Our gifts aren't going to make that big of a difference. Our investment here, our offering, whatever it may be, isn't going to make a big difference. And we feel like God has a line somewhere that we never seem to be able to measure up to. Here's the way that a first century pastor describes what it means to offer to God. He says, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all that he's done for you. Offer your whole body, like what you have to offer. Offer that to God. Why? Because of all that he's already done for you. He goes on, let this be a living and holy sacrifice. Let it be an offering, the kind that he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. Did you notice there's no line on what he finds acceptable? There's no like, hey, you do X, Y, and Z, and that's how it's acceptable to him. No, you offer yourself, what you have, to God as a holy sacrifice. Like, God, this is for you. Instead of waiting to fill the gap of where you think you lack. Instead of second guessing. It's to offer all you have, not just the leftovers, not just the surplus, not just enough. So in order for us to offer ourselves as a sacrifice or as a gift, as an offering to God, there are some things that need to change. He says, so don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way that you think. Our culture has defined some ways that are significant, and we need to let that go and let God change the way that we think about what is significant to him. And when we do, then you will learn to know God's will for you. Then you will begin to get clarity on his purpose and the path from him. Then you'll get to sense his presence in your life, which is good, which is pleasing, like enjoyable, and it is perfect. In other words, you'll be at your best. If you want God's best in your life, allow him to redefine what is significant and start offering him what you have instead of putting it off, instead of offering just enough. Because that is significant to him. So we need to redefine how we think about significance. The second thing that you see in the woman's story is her sincerity. She was sincere. God loves it when we're sincere, with no pretense, no mixed motives. We're just genuine and authentic with him. The 2 pennies may have been embarrassing for her when she compared it to everybody else. But what I love about the widow is she was not trying to impress people. She knew it. Nobody was going to be like, whoa. But she gave anyway. In fact, when you understand the free will offering, it was voluntary for her to do this. Like, she wasn't even required by Jewish law. She wanted to. And I'm guessing she was probably a little embarrassed that Jesus pointed her out, because in her mind, she was just genuinely trusting God with what she had. I think it's helpful to see God sees your sincerity as significant. Trying to show off for God is a turn off to God. Why? Because in 1 Peter it says that God opposes the proud. Like if you're just doing it for you, if you're doing it to get something from God, if it's because of what you deserve or what's good for you, you're making yourself first. And God opposes the proud, but he gives grace. He blesses the humble, the sincere. Making yourself first puts yourself in the opposite corner of God. You're choosing that. It's like you squaring up on the football field on the opposite end of the ball of him. And so if you want God's best, look at what he says. Humble yourselves under the mighty power of God. Offer what you have instead of waiting for what you lack. Under the mighty power of God. You're giving it to him. And at the right time, he will lift you up in honor. He will bring you the exalting. So if you're in a humble place today, maybe you are right where God is preparing you for some amazing work that he wants to do in your life. I mean, do you know the most generous person ever celebrated? More than Warren Buffett? More than Bill Gates? I mean, Warren Buffett, $34 billion. Bill Gates, I think they're at $35 billion given away. The most generous person ever celebrated is this woman. Her story has been told for 2,000 years. In almost every continent, in almost every language on the planet today. Nobody's story of generosity has been told more than her 2 pennies that she gave. Because she did it sincerely. She wasn't trying to show off. And God loves to take our simple, humble gifts when they're given sincerely and make an eternal, significant difference with them. That's how powerful he is. So, let's redefine what significance is, and let's offer what we have sincerely, but we need to understand that it's going to be sacrificial too. I mean, everybody heard Jesus say that this woman gave more than everybody else, and on the surface, it's very confusing. The people who are doing the math are like, wait a second, that's 2 pennies, and I'm pretty sure that bag had way more than just 2 pennies in it. So the math didn't add up, but to the woman, as Jesus pointed out, she gave everything she had. In other words, she felt it. Everyone else was offering out of their leftovers. Their surplus is the word that Jesus used. Now, it looked and sounded like that's significant. And I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm not even saying that that's wrong. The key, though, it's not the size that is significant to God, it is the sacrifice. Why? Because sacrifice implies you trust him. Your surplus is not significant to God. Well, let me illustrate it this way. If Jeff Bezos were to email me today or drop a $5 million gift, at Cedar Creek Church, I think we all would be like, wow, that's a sizable gift for us. And it is. That would be substantial. I mean, nobody has ever given $1 million gift at Cedar Creek, ever. In fact, I can count on 1 to 2 hands the people who've given 6-figure gifts at our church. That's it. Our church is really supported by the generosity of people just like you, which is encouraging to me. But if Jeff Bezos were to give a $5 million gift, the size of that gift would be impressive. And we would look at that and go, wow, that was a sacrificial gift because of our perspective. But if a single mom who's raising kids were to give $20, that's actually sacrificial. Why? Because she'd feel it. Jeff Bezos wouldn't. For the mom, that's gas money. That's like groceries. Significance isn't in the size of the gift, it's in the sacrifice. That's what this woman's story illustrates. Now, let me just add that, Jeff, if you're watching and you need to unload, $5 million, don't let me discourage you, okay? Go to cedarcreek.tv/give. It's safe, secure, We'll put that to use and make an eternal difference with it. Have you ever thought about why God invites us to tithe? A tithe means tenth. Have you ever wondered why he didn't put an amount? Because a percentage, not because he just loves numbers or math or makes it difficult for people who don't. A percentage means the amount is different for all of us, but it equalizes the cost or the sacrifice based on what God has given you. And here's what I notice. The more money people make, the harder it is to be generous. In fact, some of the most generous people at our church, they're not on the top earners list. They just trust God. I know for me, I want what I offer to God to be the largest expense in my budget each month. Not because I think God's impressed, not because I think he'll bless me more, but because I want to trust God first. I think the truth is we're afraid to sacrifice in many areas of our life. Why? I'll venture a guess. It's because I'm not sure that we trust. Sometimes it's hard to trust that God is going to provide. Here's a verse that's helpful. Everything that we have, everything that you have, talent, skills, bank account stuff has come from you, O God. And so we give only what you first gave us. Like when I remember, it's all his. It's not mine. He doesn't need it. I need to be reminded of whose it all is. And when I do, I can trust that he's going to take care of me. And that's true of your money. That's true of our time. We don't know how many years we have left on earth. It's his. And so you offer what you have to him instead of waiting. You offer your purpose to him. You offer your schedule to him. You offer your focus, your spiritual gifts, your life to him. Offer what you have instead of waiting for what you lack. Jesus said it this way. He said, if you try to hang on to your life, you'll lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, if you offer what you have, you will save it. What do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul? Is there anything worth more than your soul? Essentially, what Jesus is teaching is why we should offer what we have. As insignificant as it may feel, because you're putting it in the hands of the one who can take care of your soul for all of eternity. Essentially, I put it this way in my notes. God brings out your best when you give him your all. So my prayer for you is this. Like my prayer for 2022, for me, for you, for my family, for our community, is that we would experience God's best. But that's only going to happen when you offer him what you have instead of waiting for what you lack. And don't worry about whether it's enough or not. And don't just offer just enough. Don't measure it compared to other people. Just be like the widow and offer what you have sincerely and sacrificially for him, and just see what he will do in your life. Over the past few weeks, we've been looking at the life of Steve Sawyer from our Findlay campus and the journey that God has had him on. And as he's been experiencing this series, he sent some thoughts up to me and to our team of some reflection that he had. And so we sent our team down to capture one more time just some of the thoughts that he has that I think are really helpful. And pay attention to how he describes going on this life-changing adventure. Let's watch.
So often when I talk to people at church or even in my personal life, they seem to comment and ask me, you seem very much at peace with life. How did you do that? And what do I need to do maybe to get to the position that you seem to have? You know, when I teach Growth Track, I always try to give guests 2 or 3 key messages to take away from the experience. One every month that I never ever miss is, God does not call the qualified, he qualifies those he calls. This is a message that I've really tried to embrace and lean into in my journey. You know, was I qualified to host Growth Track only a month after starting it? No. Was I qualified to be the only Growth Track host at my campus after 2 months? No. Was I qualified to take on a role of closer for my men's group every week. No. But with each opportunity, I found that it was a calling for me. And I trusted God, and He got me through each challenge. To me, this was the adventure element of the life-changing adventure at work. Often when we think about adventure, we think of the good things that happen or the excitement that we're going to get from whatever it is we're going to be doing. But also with adventure, there are some times where there's risk involved. And sometimes you really have to step out of your comfort zone. So how did I counter this fear? I just leaned into developing my relationship with God. At the start of my journey in the video series, I actually said that I always believed in it, there was a God, but I didn't have a relationship with Him. I would also add, probably now, I didn't know at the beginning what faith truly was. Well, through my journey, I've really been able to simplify what faith means to me. And when I think of faith, I think of the word trust. And when I put those two words together, developing a relationship with God came very clear to me. I just needed to, 1, believe in God, 2, rely on God, and 3, commit to God. When I do those 3 things, that's what really gets me to the spiritual peace position that I'm often asked about. You know, today, when I look back at my journey, I look back at it with a smile and say, yes, it's been truly a journey. So I know if I've gone through this journey, anybody can. If I'm asked for advice, I just really say, maybe focus on 3 things. Is 1, embrace and invest in your relationship with God. The second one would be leverage the unique personality, spiritual gifts, and life experiences that you've all uniquely got. And then third, and finally, armed with your faith, really step into your adventure that's really been written for you with a why I can mindset rather than a why I can't mindset. And I think when you do those 3 things, you really do start to live out your purpose for which you have been uniquely designed for. And you often feel that nothing can stand in your way. And I think when you reach that point, I'd say, trust me, there's no greater feeling.
Will you join me in thanking Steve for sharing his story over the last few weeks? I know it's been meaningful for me. And I love his line. I resonate with it. God does not call the qualified. I think that's what we think. He looks for the best resume. David didn't have a great resume to defeat Goliath. Yes, he bested a few bears or lions, but a warrior? I mean, Noah to build a ship, Abraham and Sarah in old age to have kids, the disciples to follow Jesus. I remember when I was asked to lead Cedar Creek, I didn't feel qualified at all. This is part of the adventure. And yeah, adventure doesn't mean vacation. It is risky and it is bold. But it's offering God what you have today and taking a step of faith, trusting Him with it. Trusting that He will produce something in you and through you that you could never accomplish on your own. So what's been holding you back? I want you to think about all that He gave for you. Like He's with you already. He's for you. And so, man, maybe today is a day where you just stop doing this. Stop offering just enough. And trust Him in a way that you haven't. See that offering what you have is significant. Offer it sincerely. Don't be afraid of the sacrifice. Just wait and see where God takes you. I was talking with an attendee over the past few weeks. She's been helping me think about this series and how to communicate it. And one of the ideas or things that we were processing turned into an idea that I hope will be helpful for you this year. It's a resource that's available on our app under the message notes. If you go to this portion of the message notes, there's a downloadable link. We'll put it on social media where you can print it off and put it on the mirror, in the dashboard of your car, in your Bible, multiple places. But we took the bottom lines from every week and we just made a list of daily declarations. Like, I want this to be what I declare every day, a prayerful declaration all year round. If you're going to be at your best, if I'm going to be at my best, then every day I need to remember I'm at my best when I trust God first. And we turn them into I am statements so that you say them to God and to yourself, like, I am declaring this today. And so it's like, God, remind me of the next one. I get what I create or allow. So I'm going to go into the day thinking about the soil. We talked about this a few weeks ago, that you're planted in. What are you surrounding yourself with? And we're going to remember that we're going to reach for things that replenish the whole you, the multidimensional you. We need to remember and declare each day that we will focus on purpose to get through what bothers us, what's bothering me. And lastly, we need to remember that God brings out my best when I give him my all. Like friends, I believe if you do this throughout the year, even when you get off track, you come back and make these your daily, when you make this your prayer, it'll move you towards your best. You'll be like a tree planted next to a river with roots that reach deep into the water, and you're not going to be bothered by the heat or worried by long months of drought. No, your leaves will stay green, and you'll never stop producing fruit. So would you make that your prayer with me now? And would you commit to each other to make these your declarations for 2022, and then just trust God with the results? Let's make that our prayer together. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for inviting us into a blessed life with you. We want to be at our best, and we know that that comes as we trust you first. And so God, remind us that we get what we create or allow. So help us plant ourselves in life-giving environments and surroundings. God, help us to reach for things that replenish the multi-dimensional us. God, help us to focus on our purpose to get us through what bothers us. And God, I pray we trust that you bring out our best when we give you our all. And so we make that our prayer today. We know that you can move us towards a life that we can't on our own. And we believe as we do this, that the best is yet to come. And we pray this not in our strength or ability, but in the powerful name of Jesus, the one who gave his all for us. It's in his name that we pray. And everyone said, amen. Amen. Thanks.
I guess you're just broken. I guess you're just hoping for more. I guess you're just reaching. I guess you're just in need of love. You're not alone. You're not alone in this. I guess I'm just broken. I guess I'm just hoping for more. I guess I'm just reaching. I guess I'm just in need of love. But I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this. I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this.
Dear Father, I worship you with all my heart and soul.
Thank you for all the healthcare workers who are working so diligently.
I want to sing your praises from early in the morning when the sun rises until late at night when the day has passed.
I know I can rely on you, so I commit everything I have and am to you.
Please bring unity and peace to our nation.
We want to have a baby so badly. Please allow us to conceive if it is in your will.
Father in heaven, thank you for loving me.
Thank you for my job. Help me to trust in your provision. May my thoughts and behaviors follow your path for my life.
I know I can trust you with all that I am.
Heavenly Father,
Help me to abide in you, to become more like your Son every day.
You are the source of my strength, and my help comes from you.
Thank you for your love for me.
May I carry out your will in my actions.
God, help me to be at my best.
May my love for you and others be perfected through your love for me.
Help me to understand your will for my life.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name, amen.
amen.
In your Son's name I pray. Amen.
The best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. The best is yet to come.
At Cedar Creek, we believe that the best is yet to come. We hope you've enjoyed this series, and I know that I have enjoyed kicking off 2022, really thinking about what it means to be at my best. And I hope you enjoyed the declarative statements that Ben mentioned there. You can download those on our app. I encourage you to print them out, put them somewhere where you will see them on a regular basis. Let's start this year off by remembering who God is and what He has for us. So next week is pretty special. We look forward to it each and every year, Super Bowl Sunday. Maybe you haven't heard, we do a little something called the Preach Off. Check this out.
In 1 week. It's the rematch of the decade, with new twists and turns. Are you ready?
Like low-key, I hate TJ Maxx. I will never go back there again. Maybe you'd be carrying her. I know. What? I know, but they gave me holy underwear. Why would you go back after that? And not the hole that's supposed to be there. It was a bunch of little holes all over the underwear. Anyway, so I got...
Whenever you leave the house, do you have to sing the same song that I do? The song goes a little like this. Mask, wallet, keys and phone, keys and phone. Mask, wallet, keys and phone, keys and phone. Anybody else sing that song out there?
Now, Josh, you have compared yourself to Usain Bolt and you're wearing a Brady jersey. Would you say pride is the sin you struggle with the most?
Think of the last time you stubbed your toe or like jammed a finger, okay? Or stepped on one of your kids' Legos. What's the first thing that you do? You swear. No, that is not the first thing that you do. We're in church, people. We're in church, okay? And when we take time to pray first, we begin to experience God's best in our life.
Way to go, Ben. That was fun.
We believe that church should be joy-filled and fun, and the Preach Off brings a ton of fun, a ton of surprises. We also have some fun things planned for those in person at all of our locations, and if you've never been physically to a Cedar Creek service next weekend, I would encourage you, if you can, to make that happen. You can go to cedarcreek.tv/locations for our campus locations and also our times. They are different depending on what campus you go to, so please pay attention to that. But we would love to have you physically, of course, if you can make it. If not, online is great. Every service is different as well. So Saturday is going to be a little bit different than Sunday morning. Every service, the contestants don't know what verses they're preaching on, so the sermons are different. It's a ton of fun. You got to check it out. If you have any prayer requests, we would love to pray with you before you go. You can put your prayer request right in the chat, and we will grab that. We'll be praying for you all week, and you don't have to spell out everything if you don't want. You can just put one word, honestly, and we'll pray for you, and God knows. Or you can go to cedarcreek.tv/prayer submit a prayer request, and you can check Allow Encouraging Comments. And as our team prays for you, they will send you an email throughout the week and let you know that you were prayed for. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We hope to see you back next week at the Preach Off.